This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. The Seattle City Council has approved dramatic funding cuts to its police department, resulting in the loss of about 100 officers. The move comes as the city's police chief steps down. CBN contributor Chuck Holton has more on what's happening in Seattle, police problems nationwide, and the outlook for America's cities.
You might not hear it from media outlets, but in Portland, more than 270 federal officers have been injured in the line of duty since May. Here in Seattle, one day of recent rioting led to 59 officers being wounded by rocks, bottles, and improvised explosives. Still, even though nightly violence and skyrocketing crime rock American cities, some politicians are echoing the call to defund or even abolish the police. Here, business owners board up stores for protection from groups like Antifa, while their city council members demand more cuts in police budgets.
This vote is going to reduce the police budget by less than 2%. That's not a defunding. Less than $3 million out of $170 million remaining in the SPD's budget this year, instead of the 50% demanded by the movement.
The impact of this war on cops can be devastating, according to Louisiana Congressman Clay Higgins. And as the only U.S. representative still certified as a law enforcement officer, Higgins has frontline experience.
I would say to the city leaders and elected officials that are getting on this bandwagon, those that would crucify the police officers that serve their cities and their communities and their states, I'd say to those elected officials, get another job. One that doesn't come with an oath. Because the men that you're crucifying, their job began with an oath. And that oath was not to a mayor or a governor or a chief or a marshal or a sheriff. It was an oath to the Constitution. It's easy for you to say with your security detail that we're going to abolish your police department. What are the communities that you're supposed to represent? What are they going to do when crime happens? You're going to call a social worker at 2 o'clock in the morning to respond to violence? You know what that equates to? That social worker becomes another victim.
Higgins believes up to a third of all cops in some districts could resign in the coming year, leading to dire consequences. And it's already happening. Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best posted this open letter to the City Council on August 3rd, writing, "Before this devolves into the new way of doing business by mob rule here in Seattle and across the nation, elected officials like you must forcefully call for the end of these tactics."
America needs police because men are imperfect. You do away with police departments or cut them to the quick, evil will take over. Crime will run rampant.
And Chuck Holton joins us now by Skype. Welcome, Chuck.
Hi, it's good to see you.
You too. These hard-left activists are calling for defunding, even dismantling police departments. What is your sense about how much support they have in Seattle and across the country right now?
Well, according to statistics I've seen, there's very little support actually for defunding the police. Actually, in minority communities especially, more than 80% say that they want as much or more policing in their communities as they have now. But I think that there are a couple of different situations here that are getting mixed together. The people who say defund the police, many of them that I've talked to don't actually mean to completely abolish the police. They mean to take some of the funding and divert it to other things like housing for the homeless and things like that.
So really interesting when we say defund police, it means different things to different people. And Congressman Higgins, in your report, is certainly very interesting, warning that defunding police departments will lead to an increase in crime and lots of police simply leaving the force. What are the alternative ideas to address racism in police departments that you're hearing?
Well, when it comes to defunding the police, the perception is everything. And one of the things that Congressman Higgins told me is that the street has a sense of its own. The people that live in those communities, if they sense that the police are not doing their jobs, and this, I think, is the bigger problem, more so than defunding the police, because it's not likely that police departments are going to be completely abolished in most places. It's the depolicing. It's the police themselves themselves choosing not to enforce the laws because they can't trust that even if they do everything right, if they follow department policy, if they follow the law, if they follow the Constitution, they can still get their lives ruined and maybe even put in jail just because of the politics behind the city leaders who are willing to throw them under the bus.
So really a hard time to be an officer, especially with respect to Seattle and Portland. These cities seem so upended right now. Where do you see this all going in these communities where the protests are just continuing?
Well, these things have gone on for more than 2 months, and I would tell you that the rioters there are not protesters. They're hiding behind the label of protesters, but they are not protesters. 99% of the rioters I saw in Portland and Seattle are white. They keep yelling Black Lives Matter as they're smashing windows and burning cars and attacking police officers and things like that. Those things don't have anything to do with legitimate protest, and I think we need to be very clear about saying that, and the city leaders in the bottom line have got to take a harder stand against criminals or this.
All right, Chuck. Well, I think you just froze up there, but we appreciate your insights. Thank you so much. The Secret Service is investigating a shooting near the White House last night where a man appeared ready to fire a weapon. There are now reports that the suspect didn't even have a gun, even though he approached an agent and said that he did. It all happened moments after a press conference began with President Trump. Agents escorted the president out of the room. An officer standing guard at 17th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, about 1 block from the White House, shot the man once in the chest. The president said the suspect did not mention him during the altercation. Both the suspect and the Secret Service officer were taken to the hospital. Well, turning overseas, international skepticism is mounting as Russia becomes the first country to approve a coronavirus vaccine. Today's move is leaving some uneasy because the injections have not undergone large-scale testing with humans. Russian President Vladimir Putin said the vaccine is effective and that one of his daughters has already been inoculated. But scientists at home and abroad have warned that the rush to start using the vaccine before phase 3 trials could backfire. Those trials normally last for months and involve thousands of people. Well, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is on a week-long trip to Central Europe, where he is expected to sign several major economic and military agreements with allies. His stops include Austria, the Czech Republic, and Poland. The trip comes as the Pentagon is set to pull some 12,000 American troops from Germany and redeploy them to Poland and other NATO nations. And here to talk about the significance of Pompeo's trip is our senior international correspondent, George Thomas. George, thanks for being here. Sure. So this is going on amidst everything else in the world. Right. And the State Department is talking about strengthening transatlantic security. But what exactly is at stake with this trip?
Well, I mean, the State Department is correct to mention that this is all about strengthening transatlantic relationships between these countries: Poland, the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Latvia, Lithuania, the Baltic countries, Central Europe. Keep in mind, Heather, here that these countries used to be under the tutelage of this man. Well, not him specifically, but the Russian Empire. It used to be part of the former, the Red Army, the former Soviet Union. All these countries understand communism, they understand the past. Well, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, the fall of communism, it unleashed this independent, this sense of wanting to have closer relations with the West and not with Russia. And so with Mike Pompeo going over there, it's part of America continuing to engage these Central European countries and the Baltic countries to say, listen, we are with you, we will protect you, we will defend you. The only problem is that these countries remember what happened on March 18th, 2014, when little green men, in fact, I was there at the moment when this happened, when little green men sent by Russia annexed this area known as the Crimea, which was part of Ukraine. Again, you'll remember this used to be part of the former Soviet Union. And so not since Adolf Hitler had annexed Austria had any country been annexed by another country. So these folks, whether it's the Czech Republic, Poland, they all remember Russia's influence, the former Soviet Union's influence. They don't want that to happen. What's interesting is that this morning when Pompeo arrived, his first visit was to the Czech Republic, Pelsen, where back during World War II, U.S. troops had liberated this country. And he said the following during this celebration commemorating this moment. He said, "It is worth remembering that as we celebrate this day, we remember that authoritarianism is still alive in Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran." Clearly a signal to the Kremlin that we know where you are and what you're planning to do and want to do and the aspirations for this part of the world.
Yeah, all this fear about Russia encroaching in these Baltic countries, and you talked about Ukraine.
Yeah.
Is there any recent indication that Russia is making moves to encroach more?
No, but the reality is that none of these countries can really, protect themselves militarily from the mighty Russian army. I mean, there's no way. But what they see is that the United States, which made a pact with these former Soviet satellite countries, that because they are part of NATO, any country that comes against NATO will be protected by the United States along with our other NATO allies. Clearly, that did not happen on March 18th, 2014, when the Russians had annexed Crimea. And so for these smaller countries, these Baltic countries, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Slovenia, incidentally, Mike Pompeo is going to be heading to Slovenia in a couple of days, because these countries, on a scale of 1 to 100, everybody knows that Russia is continuing to make influence and inroads in these countries, trying to gin up nationalistic, pro-Russian, pro-Kremlin mentality. And so it's a very strong, so there's this sort of divide between the struggle. Do we want closer relations with the West, principally the United States, or do we want closer relations with Mother Russia? And clearly the Kremlin continues to undermine these countries across Central Europe and the Baltic countries to keep up this, to gin up the sort of Russian mentality and sense of companionship with Moscow.
Well, it's a fascinating dance, kind of like
sure
a wooing, if you will.
Absolutely.
We are out of time, but George, thank you so much.
Okay, sure.
And coming up, efforts by pro-life Democrats to make their voices heard in the party with a firmly planted pro-choice platform.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time: keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Pro-life Democrats say that Joe Biden is snubbing them. Kristen Day, the executive director of Democrats for Life, wrote an opinion piece for the Wall Street Journal last week calling out the presumed Democrat presidential candidate. And she joins us now with more. Kristen, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
So it's fascinating. You've got this dilemma. You don't want to vote for President Trump, but you also consider Joe Biden to be the most pro-abortion president in history. How does he qualify for that, in your view?
How does he qualify as being the most pro-abortion?
Yes.
Look at the Democratic platform. It is the most extreme platform that we have ever seen, going so far as to repeal the Hyde language, to codify Roe v. Wade. There's no space made for pro-life Democrats, and there's really a message from the top saying that we don't want pro-life Democrats in the party.
It's really interesting. I remember I was at the Democratic National Convention in Denver in 2008, and there was a lot of centrist conversation then, if you will. But in the Wall Street Journal piece, you're saying that you've been unable to access the party, and specifically were not able to testify to the platform committee. What is going on in your party?
I don't know what is going on. They have lost all sense of what it means to be a big tent party of diversity and inclusion. You know, we worked with President Clinton on the platform. We worked with President Obama on the platform, and Vice President Biden just doesn't want to hear from us at all, and in fact doesn't seem to want our vote.
So next week, of course, is the Democratic National Convention. What are you hoping for next week?
So we are going to be there in Milwaukee. We're having a virtual town hall on Monday, and I tell you, I have never seen a more motivated group of people than the pro-life Democrats right now. They're really frustrated with the party. They are frustrated with Vice President Biden, and a lot of them are thinking about staying home and not voting at all.
Oh, wow. So you write that roughly 1 in 3 Democrats consider themselves pro-life, according to Gallup. What do you see these people doing this fall? You mentioned that some of them might stay at home. What are the conversations like right now?
Right. You know, a lot of them look at the Democratic platform and say, how can we vote for this person? And the fact that Joe Biden has not made 1 ounce of effort. You know, the pro-life Democrats are not asking for much. We say we want a place in the party for us. And right now there is no space. He's making no effort to try to get our vote. He's making no movement to moderate even just a tiny bit on abortion. In fact, he's going the other direction. So I think a lot of people are going to stay home. They don't want to go vote for President Trump, but they may not come out for Biden in the fall.
Is there any issue that you see there being some wiggle room that might be an inroad for you when it comes to abortion, an area where you can agree with the Democratic Party or come together in some way?
When we worked with President Obama, we worked on finding common ground and trying to find ways where we can provide support for pregnant women to not seek abortion. But unfortunately, right now in our party, it's just they want to celebrate abortion, get rid of health and safety regulations. They're not really protecting the women. They're protecting the abortion doctors and then their profit margins. So, you know, the party needs to come back and look at what safe, legal, and rare that Bill Clinton talked about, and trying to reduce abortion that President Obama talked about. We're just not even close right now.
All right, Kristen Day, appreciate your insights. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Still ahead, new leadership for a major Christian university, why one Liberty graduate and pastor says it's about time.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network. featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Liberty University has a new acting president. Dr. Jerry Prevost assumes the position following President Jerry Falwell's indefinite leave of absence. Prevost, who is 75, has served as the chairman of Liberty's Board of Trustees since 2003. He recently retired as the senior pastor of Anchorage Baptist Temple in Alaska. Falwell's departure came last Friday after an uproar on social media over a photo he posted of him and another woman with their pants unbuttoned. And we are joined now by Pastor Dean Insera. He's the lead pastor at City Church, Tallahassee, Florida, and a Liberty grad. Pastor Dean, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
The day before Liberty announced that Falwell was taking a leave of absence, you tweeted, "I'm thrilled about the pastor of Thomas Road and feel the exact opposite about the president of the university. Somebody show some courage on the board or somewhere." What led to your opposition to Falwell's leadership and your decision to tweet about it?
Well, as a Liberty alum, I just felt it was time to just say out loud what I had a lot of alumni communicating to me and how I felt as well, that it wasn't even just about the picture. The picture that appeared online was like strike 15 for Falwell. And it was just time for current students and alumni to stop having to be embarrassed for their president. I was with Liberty students last summer at a camp where I was speaking at for a while, and I had a conversation with them, and every single one of them loved the school, love Liberty, but are really troubled and almost embarrassed by the actions regularly on social media, especially by their president. So it was certainly time for a change to take place.
Yeah, it was so interesting to see that concern building. You, though, were one of the few Christian leaders to speak out against Falwell or about your concerns last week. Why do you think so few spoke up?
To be really honest, I think it's more about Trump than anything else. It's almost like a new alignment within Christian culture that your political alignments and political support overrides almost anything else. And sometimes that can even override your character and override your integrity. So I think if he'd have been maybe like a never Trumper kind of person, that many people would have spoken out across Baptist circles, especially. I think that's a primary reason for it, is basically untouchable because of that. Unfortunately, it's sad.
Well, last week, a lot of people voiced concern that Falwell's behavior was behavior that would have gotten a lot of Liberty students in trouble. The school, of course, is known for its strict rules around drinking, dress, sexual behavior. How can the school recover and rebuild after its president flouted those rules?
Yeah, I think that, one, this action was significant, showing that there's real change happening. And also, I think it's important that we first and foremost care about Falwell's spiritual health. This is a human being. I don't want him cast out into no man's land. You know, I want to see him restored to his faith, if that's a struggle. And I don't know him personally, but I hope we all pray for him spiritually first. But I think it's getting back to what makes Liberty, Liberty. And that's the vibrant spiritual life of the campus, professors that are about Jesus before they're about anything else. And honestly, just kind of return to our roots of what Liberty really is and why it was founded in the first place.
Would you like to see Falwell given back his leadership post, or what are your hopes for Liberty going forward?
I'm a big believer in restoration. If there was serious repentance, which would mean him actually confessing to his issues, maybe getting the spiritual counsel, guidance, counseling that he needs. Of course, I don't have any power at Liberty, but I have a voice, and I'd be open to that. I'm all for restoration, but that takes a while. So I don't think that needs to be on the radar right now. We all need to be praying for acting President Prevost and the search committee as they go forward to find the next president of Liberty.
All right. Well, I know there is a lot of concern. A lot of people want the best for Liberty, as do you, and appreciate your willingness to come on. Pastor Insera, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. I love Liberty and hope for great days ahead.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye. An early start to your day could be worth a spectacular view. Straight ahead, how you can watch the night sky light up.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Well, waking up early will have its benefits tomorrow morning. This year's Perseid meteor shower will peak Wednesday morning. The meteor shower is one of the most popular of the year. According to NASA, the best time to look for these meteors is in the pre-dawn hours on August 12th. And to see the meteors look up and to the north, those in the southern latitudes can look toward the northeast to see even more. And that is it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Please remember you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel at any time or online with cbnnews.com. And also, please tell us what you think about the stories that you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or just talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great day.